Hello, everyone. Welcome to another podcast episode, the Albisu podcast episode. I am here today with Alex Moreno, Clinical Program Manager at the University of Miami, Division of Adolescent Medicine. And he will be talking to us today about World AIDS Day. And I want to thank you, Alex, for stopping by today and being here with us to talk about such an important subject. And I really, really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to do that for us.
De nada. I'm glad to be here. Welcome, everybody. World AIDS Day is a very important day in our calendar. I would say, sadly, over the years, it's diminished its thing. Remember the Oscars, everyone was wearing a red ribbon, and now no one wears red ribbons.
Yes.
So it's kind of a day of more of remembrance and maybe to recharge the batteries for those working in the field with the cause of prevention and keeping people in care, stuff like that. So it's still a very important day in the calendar, and unfortunately in Miami-Dade it's still a very, very big issue because data tells us for the past, I think, 8 years, Miami is ranked #1 in the nation for HIV infection rates.
Yes, which is like very, very high compared to like nationwide, statistics and the data that, you guys.
There's one other area, so I don't want to get it too complicated, but we go by EMAs, eligible metropolitan areas, which is funded. So South Florida is one area. The area around Baton Rouge is another area. And between us two, we're always now at #1 and #2.
Wow. So what does then the typical week look like for you and your staff? Now that, tomorrow, December 1st, is actually, World AIDS Day. So how is that going for you guys?
Yeah, so we are very busy. And even though we're called our Division of Adolescent Medicine, where we have like a small subgroup that we work with of adolescents, 13 to 29-year-olds, we would never turn anybody away for services. So anybody in their 30s to 50s, 60s, et cetera, actually can still use our services because even though we're within we're actually housed there.
Okay.
We're actually a Florida Department of Health testing site.
Okay.
So can't have too many bosses that way. DOH, plus federal funding as well from HRSA. So typically our days center around us being in the community of Miami-Dade, which is massive. So
correct.
People are like, oh, you only work in one area. I'm like, have you been around Miami-Dade? Have you driven around Miami-Dade?
Miami-Dade is massive.
Yeah.
Plus the traffic. Let's not get into that, but yes.
So we have a lot of places where we go on a regular basis. So one example would be the Department of Juvenile Justice Detention Center. Young kids are arrested, processed, and detained there for 21 days awaiting adjudication. So I go there every Friday and run the clinic.
Okay.
We have maybe a couple of schools around Miami-Dade where we go in on a weekly basis and do prevention education, and that would accumulate with, now we finish the education sessions, who would like to get tested. So they give us a private room, private bathroom, and the students are tested that way. We test for, on the spot, a HIV rapid test, a urine sample for chlamydia, gonorrhea. If there's anything that's more complicated, they would have to come down to our clinic, which is down by the Jackson Hospital area, where we have our medical staff on hand, nurse practitioners, med students, our doctors. So if someone needs like an examination, oh, there's something really weird down there, okay,
right.
A medical provider can check you out. All our services are free because of our funding from the DOH and from HRSA. And again, even though we talk about our age population is 13 to 29, we have a sub-site which is run by a community-based organization called Positive Peers Network. Wonderful group of my heroes. They are a group of HIV positive ladies who have gone through the mill. They've learned the hard way how to navigate the system of HIV. They started up about 3 or 4 years ago, their own organization, grassroots organization. And now they've gone through our training through the state to become HIV registered counselors and testers, and they fall under our testing site, so that anybody over the age of 29 can be tested. Like, for instance, I can test you. You look like 30, 31. So I can test you, and it would just go under their sub-site number for our data purposes. So it's very cool in that we're housed within so we have all that infrastructure helping us out. So again, a young person comes in to get tested. Let's say they're positive for chlamydia. The provider sees them. They get their treatment for free. We bring in their partner to be tested because that's who they either caught it from or gave it to. So that's typically what happens during the week. We also have some very other cool projects. We don't mind talking about that.
No, you can. I was about to ask you about that. Like, what any other like special projects you're working on, and in this busy schedule that he already has. I don't know where you find the time, but he does, and he has a very cool project that he's going to talk to us also, about. So please, tell us.
So all my staff are medically trained, but we're all educators at heart, and a lot of our work is prevention education. So to go a little further than that, we've come up with this thing called Future Leaders of the World. And I take a group of students in a classroom setting, could be here at the university, a group of like 22 students. We do the health curriculum. It's typically 6 or 7 lessons. We cover things like HIV and STDs, substance abuse, sex trafficking, empowerment, reproductive health, things like that. At the end, to continue that, the students then write out a raw story on that said topic. So you choose sex trafficking, and Esther chooses STDs, blah, blah, blah. Then with the raw story, we will teach you how to write a professional script. Once the script goes through this vetting process, I have like this youth advisory board, and they're a little cold in their comments. We keep telling them, be a little more encouraging.
Right.
they're peers, so it's fine. The writer then does a rewrite. And at the end, when I've worked with the writer on developing it just a little better, it then goes to our very famous friend that oversees this project. And if he okays it, we end up shooting a film. So if you guys want to go to either the website, www.futureleadersoftheworld.org, or on Instagram, flow_helpin, and you can follow us on that. As I said, it's a project that's kind of away from the clinic, but it's tied in. And we've produced, so we're getting ready to premiere our latest 2 films.
You have your premiere coming up
on the 16th.
For the film.
Yeah. So you can get the information from Instagram that'll be coming out. It's a virtual platform. You just log in and watch the film. They're all short films because at the end, we want that film to go back into the classroom.
Correct. So
the teacher can then continue the education of the topic of the film. So we've got topics on STDs, HIV, and GLBTQ. Our next film we're doing is very kind of pushing the envelope. It's called Generically Hot Girls Do Education. It's the story of 2 ex-porn stars who are now teachers. So it is a comedy. It's going to be quite funny. So we're taking on the porn industry on the next film. So let's see how that goes.
Let's see how that goes. But for now, they can always check, the website, or go to Instagram and check out, the films and the premiere that they have coming up on December the 16th. And then another thing that I wanted to ask you, it's like, so what is going on World AIDS Day? Like tomorrow, it's like, recognize, we all want to bring the awareness to our communities, but can you tell me a little bit more maybe what's going on here in Miami-Dade?
Yeah, so there's a thing called the partnership, which oversees a lot of the funding coming in from the feds and the state, and they've organized different events amongst their providers. So for instance, there's 103 testing sites within Miami-Dade. Out of the 103 testing sites, there's probably 20 medical clinics that service the community. Places like Barinka and Empower You Care Resources. And we're obviously one of those as well at the University of Miami. Not just adolescents like we do, we have an adult facility as well. So most of the organizations are organizing things either around testing events, and then in the evening, there could be some kind of like candlelight vigils. There are a few events that will be a little more social. I know there's one like at a really cool bar on a rooftop, cocktail hour mingle. There'll be like a guest speaker there. So everybody's trying to do different things because there's so much going on, and then people can pick and choose. PPN is involved in an event where they're showcasing a film that was like a documentary made about cisgender black women who are living with HIV. It's about 8 minutes long. It's very good. I saw it. It's really well done. Alicia Trammell, who runs PPN, our sub-site, she's in that film. So that'll be premiered at one of the events. And then actually next week, there's a medical conference on HIV, and there'll be some social events tied into that medical conference.
Okay, sounds good. What about for those that, I mean, you mentioned like great events, very cool events too, but what about for those that cannot perhaps, because of their schedule or any other situation, cannot join? How do you think that they can raise awareness into their communities about like this, you know, subject? I mean, how can we like raise awareness within our communities? What do you think?
Yeah, well, this is a start, doing a podcast or videos to go out on YouTube and encourage people to share it. Likewise, if you're following agencies, you know, share their posts or check out agencies that you've never heard of. You know, you could go to the partnership. The school's website, I think, is aids.net. And then maybe as parents, this is an opportunity to talk about the topic with your you know, your kids. There'll be things on the news, you know. Oh, did you know it's World AIDS Day? Do you know what AIDS is? No, I never heard of it. Have you heard of HIV? I've never heard of that. Teachable moment, right?
Yeah, it's a teachable moment.
My daughter's 15. She's known about this topic for the past kind of 5 years. She comes on the movie sets with us. She actually does all the behind the scenes stuff. So she's quite aware of that. So I will be encouraging her tomorrow to share amongst her friends, or at least bring it up to her friends. If she does or not, I don't know, you know, 15 daughter, right?
Well, you know, I mean, I think that it's our like responsibility also just to like, you know, just put the information out there, and hopefully it will be dispersed, you know, to everyone. So how can any of our students then get more information on the services that that you offer? Do they go to the actual, I mean, we're going to do here testing on Albizu University campus on December the 7th in the afternoon, and we will be sending flyers, email communications with the details of the time. But how can they get in touch also, like, you know, for the services that you offer?
So obviously coming to the testing event here is a great step. If they need to maybe see us before because there's an issue happening, I'm symptomatic, something like that. Do
they have a website that they
I can give you our phone number and website. So the phone number is 305-243-2174. Monday through Friday. And then our website is www.promote to prevent, but the 2 is the number 2. So it's PRON.
And I can also put
prevent.
So I can also put that information out there once we send out, you know, the podcast out, and this will also be on our YouTube channel. So you know, we can put that information out there for everyone, you know, just in case, like, you know, Mr. Moreno is saying, if you want to go ahead of time, or if you cannot come on December the 7th, then you can, you know, access these services that are completely free of charge, no cost. And access that to, you know, in one of in your clinic.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's students that have to do, you know, classroom assignments about health and things like that. So you can always arrange to do an interview with us and do a different perspective on things.
Absolutely.
We get a lot of requests for education, either in groups or one-on-one. We're one of the providers for DCF. So every child that's in foster care pretty much comes through our doors at some point. So again, for your students, we are just an option in the community. Again, our services are free, any age, and I feel that if, you know, everybody just was like routinely tested for HIV, like a lady goes to the lady doctor once a year, if everybody just kind of did their testing on an annual basis, we would hopefully reduce the stigma to HIV.
Right.
And that's always been one of the biggest barriers, not just of people thinking, let me go get tested, but when someone is diagnosed with HIV, suddenly there's a lot of shame involved, there's a lot of stigma attached to that. If I tell you, oh, I just got diagnosed with cancer, it's automatically your mindset is of sympathy and oh my God, what can I do to help you? I tell you I'm HIV positive, people are like, well, why? That's so preventable. Why did you,
Right.
So,
but I think that is very important, and that was like my next question to you. Like, there's always this stigma surrounding, HIV, AIDS, and I think that it's important that it's, with time, hopefully erased, right? But it plays a lot into how the newly diagnosed person feels. And it's like you say, it's like a lot of shame, or like, this could have been very preventable. What did you do? So I think that at a certain extent, they just make the person feel more guilty about it and worse. And I know that you have, I'm sure, heard this many, many times, people that are tested. And
I've told 294 people that they've got HIV over 18 years.
Over 18 years,
I keep a count. I've stayed in touch with many of them.
Okay.
And again, being diagnosed now is not like 25 years ago, but it really was a death sentence 25 years ago. Now we kind of deem it as a chronic manageable disease.
Okay.
As Alicia at PPN says a lot, there's life after diagnosis.
Okay.
It's a case of adjusting to that. And what I've told people, I've just told you that you have HIV. I deem it as you are going to live your life and attain all the dreams you want to do. This virus is coming along for the ride.
Okay.
You can manage it. You can do the right things to do everything that you still want to do in life. Don't let that hold you back.
Okay. That sounds great. I mean, it sounds like encouraging, but like one of the main things, like I said, is just that stigma around it. But it's, again, like you said, it's not like 25 years ago, it was a death sentence. Now it's different, but different in a way that manageable. You can live your life, and have all your dreams come true.
Even people who've been living with HIV for a long time may not have the mindset now to even disclose. It's a very hard thing to do, is to tell somebody that you have HIV, especially if you're newly diagnosed. So through PPN, we recently created a billboard that's sitting opposite another college up in North Miami on 27th Avenue and 112th Street, I think it is. And that billboard was put together from us in this type of setting, green screen, and did photo shoots. And out of the 11 models that we used for that, 3 of them had never disclosed before. And not only were they disclosing to this small group of the photo shoots, but they're now plastered on a massive billboard. So that's empowered them to tell people, because it's like, I'm out now. And that was a really powerful thing to see 3 people who never disclosed before. Not only disclosed to this small group of people, but they're now on a billboard.
So that is major. I think that is very,
That's the type of thing people need to do. To empower them, because stigma gets broken down the more we, normalize things, the more that we educate our medical providers on the proper language to use, which just hasn't changed since like the 80s.
Correct.
So there's a lot of work still to be done, but I feel that the more we keep chipping away, we'll eventually get to where we need to be.
I could not agree more with you. The more that we keep talking about it, chipping away, that stigma, it's just going to, like, little by little, like, make it better for everyone overall. Anything else you want to leave us with? Other, obviously I'm always saying, like, know your status, get tested, but anything you want to, like, like a takeaway for all of us today?
Just remember, unfortunately, as of now, Miami-Dade ranks #1 in the nation for HIV infection rates. Now, for those of you who are out there with a critical mind, you're already thinking about something, and that is, we actually do more testing than anybody else in the country. So if everybody else did the amount of testing that we do, we may not be number one. But that's one of the contributing factors as to why we're number one. We test more people here than anywhere else. And it's a case of, like you said, know your status. When you're out dating and getting to know people, use protection, go get tested together, right? That's something kind of cool to do. I don't think that's shameful to say, I really like you, I want to move to the next level, let's go get tested together.
Right.
What's wrong with that?
Make it part of the conversation.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Instead of third date, you go get tested on the fourth date. I don't know.
Anyway.
So it's a case of, I think everybody can do something.
Something about
like
it.
you had said about even just, reposting people's posts that comes out.
Yeah.
That's something because, the energy is going around this community of Miami-Dade around the world because we're in the epicenter.
Yes.
And we're probably still going to be for a while. We have many barriers against us. As you know, the state of Florida about 11 years ago took away high school students' requirements of a health class for graduation. And I went to Congress and spoke and warned them that that is going to be detrimental to us. And 2 years later, we went to number one and we're still number one.
Yeah. Well, I think that we need to, sadly, we can continue talking, but I have to wrap things up. But again, I want to thank you, Alex Moreno from Health, Clinical Program Manager at the University of Miami, Division of Adolescent Medicine, for taking your time and visiting us today here at Albizu University. Remember, we're going to be testing here on campus on December the 7th. More information will be out for you to check out. And for now, it's a bye-bye. See you soon. I'm Maria Leduc, Student Success Coordinator at the Office of Student Affairs. So take care of yourselves. Ciao.